Hey, headphone or weird ear speaker phone people. I'm MrAyrit, and I've got an interesting review for you today because it is of the RAAL SR1a ribbon ear speaker things. I don't know what to call them. Anyway, I've had the privilege to be trying these out for a little while now. And I wanted to share my impressions, and I'm fortunate because a friend of the channel, so big thanks to HiFi member SA11297. He's who's really making this possible, and is also making possible a couple of other really high-end reviews that I've got coming up in the near future. So thanks to him, we get a chance to look at this very interesting piece of kit and the matching amp, which is the RAAL Requisite HSA-1b. So this is going to be kind of a combined review of the whole system and just this amp itself too, because this amp, as you can see, it's a beast, and it sounds really good, really good. Okay, so let's kind of look at the system here. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about what you get with it, which I guess is going to require me to go get a couple of other large objects because it's a big kit. Okay, so when I got this thing, right, like it came, like the amp came in a big box as well, but then the actual kind of ear speaker system came in this big case here. Now I'm gonna open this up just so you can kind of see what's inside here. You can see they have this little speaker adapter thing, or like speaker amplifier adapter thing. I didn't use this, but it does come with that. So if you wanted to try to adapt like a nice speaker amplifier, I think you can do that with this system. Now, I didn't really bother with that because my speaker amp is just a Denon receiver, and you know, I've got this big beast, so this amplifier that's kind of built for this system here, so I didn't really see the need to try that. What I can say about the amplifier here, I mean, we can take a quick look at it, but it's really pretty interesting because it's made specifically for the SR1a, but it also has, you know, can be used as a conventional headphone amplifier or a speaker amplifier. So it's really got kind of a lot going on. I mean, it's expensive. I guess I'm not sure exactly what the retail is on it, but it seems like about like $3,000 is what they go for typically. So I mean, again, I'm sorry, I didn't even bother to look up what the new price is, but you can see the inputs here. We've got the ribbon system plugs straight into this, or you can plug in an adapter, which I'll show you here in a second, so you can adapt hard to drive headphones like the HE6 or the Susvara, which I have on hand. And then we've got headphone speaker toggle, we've got XLR RCA input toggle, you've got conventional headphone balance, you've got conventional headphone 1/4 inch, and then you've got this huge red knob, and this is like a stepped system here. So what's cool about that, and what they tout on the information about this amp, is that it's like perfectly balanced channels, so you'll never have any channel imbalance because you've got those steps where the channels are perfectly matched. If we flip over around to the back here, you can see you got your speaker leads there, you got XLR in, you got RCA in, and then you got just kind of the regular PC cable in there for that. So you can see kind of the power for the headphones right in there, and it's what does it say there? Let me get up here so I can read it. 8 ohms, 10 watts, 4 ohms, 20 watts, 2 ohms, 40 watts. Okay, and then we should probably talk about the power for the headphones, but I need to look that up real quick. Just give me a second. Well, I don't know. I'm looking. I don't see a specific spec for it. Needless to say, it's got plenty of power to drive absolutely anything you could possibly want to drive. I mean, it can drive, SR1a HE6. It can drive these, crazy ribbon ear speaker things. It can drive regular speakers. So it's got plenty of power. I can't find the specific ratings for different, like headphone impedances out of those, but just it's got plenty. Okay, it's got plenty. So let's look at the SR1a here real quick, and we'll kind of talk about, like, I don't know, how it works and fits and what you can manipulate on it and all that stuff, and then we'll start talking about sound. So first of all, let's talk cable. It's nothing crazy. It's like dual 3.5 millimeter, but again, the jack is a little bit different because it's a 4-pin female plug, and I think they just designed it that way so you wouldn't get it confused and plug it into the wrong plug. And also, that toggle on the front of the amp that I showed you, like, you switch it to SR1a specifically or headphones, and it changes the sound signature like a little bit. I don't know exactly what all is happening during that, but basically the idea is if you're running these guys, it's got a special setting just for them, and then it's got a setting for any other headphones that you'd be using. So something it tweaks with at least the frequency response, if not something else going on there. The build of this thing itself is kind of interesting. You can see it's carbon fiber, it's metal, it's real leather. It's got these foam pads where it comes in contact with kind of your temples here and your cheeks along here. It's got another leather strap, like suspension system on the top, and it's very flexible, and it just can be manipulated a lot of different ways. Like these the ear speakers here, you can articulate in lots of different ways. And then they actually recommend, and I'll link to this video below, but when you're fitting it, they recommend you really kind of bend these around just the way you want them to get them comfortable for your setting. So you've got two straps. You've got the suspension strap on top, and then you got one that goes behind your head. So when you put them on, kind of like this, and then I like to kind of like pull that strap down in the back and get it snugged up, and then I found the best sound of these when I was doing this is to have, I don't know, what would I call that? It's probably about a 45-degree angle, actually, as I had it set up. And then I like to make sure that I get the little foam pads here, I get them right up against my ears and kind of pushed back. And that was what I found the sweet spot was for me. Now, as cool as these look, which, let's be honest, they look super cool, they're pretty comfortable. I mean, it feels weird, right? It feels as awkward as it looks, in that, like, the speakers, these ribbon speakers, are kind of like flopping around on your head if you're moving a lot. So one of the big drawbacks to these that I didn't like is that I tend to like do things when I'm listening. Like, I don't just sit here, I don't just kick back and sit here as I'm listening. And so as I'm trying to like do stuff, if I bend my head down, it kind of like moves forward on my head. It messes with my glasses and all that stuff. So for me, just kind of the fit of these I just don't love it. I mean, it's not uncomfortable, it's just awkward, and especially awkward if you're trying to actually do things. Now, if you're the type of person that just like chills and sits back and you don't really try to do anything while you're listening, then these might work for you. But if you're busy and you're running around and you're tilting your head down and you're looking at stuff, like these aren't like an office headphone where if you're working and you're doing things, you could use this. You would be the coolest person in the office, obviously, if you were wearing these, but I just don't know if it's practical if you're really busy to use these things. But they're comfortable. I mean, I was surprised by how comfortable they are because they kind of look, I don't know how I describe them as looks. They don't look like they would be comfortable. They're pretty angular and sharp, corners and things like that. But the reality is they are actually quite comfortable. And they don't weigh a significant amount either. They're relatively lightweight, which is a good thing. The articulation here, it seems like it wouldn't be good, but it's actually like just the perfect amount of tension on here to where it's easy to manipulate, but it just perfectly stays like wherever you put it. And this is kind of a fun thing about this setup, is because you can play with it, right? Do you want a more intimate sound? You angle them in and you get a more direct sound wave into your ears, or do you want to open them up, and you can really open them up. But I feel like there's a sweet spot there, but we might all have our own preferences in that regard. But all in all, in my use, my initial gut reaction was like they seem kind of chintzy, but in reality, it's a very functional build. It's just awkward. It's just awkward to use. But it's not uncomfortable or bad, and the build quality is actually really good on them once you kind of understand how they're supposed to work. Okay, enough about that. We can understand that they're weird and awkward, all right? I think anybody's going to look at them and understand that point. What we want to know is the sound worth it? And I think for some people it could be. It's very detailed, very, as you can imagine, kind of open and airy. Imaging is really kind of interesting. I mean, I wouldn't say it's like the absolute master of imaging or anything like that, but it does it well, and it presents space well. It's not huge sounding. Again, you can kind of tweak that with how you manipulate it. So I found instrument placement and separation to be good. I didn't find it to be outstanding. I found the tonal balance to be fairly neutral. Bass is very fast and textured and detailed. Vocals are present and can be intimate if you want them to, if the track calls for it. And I found there to be more energy, I would say, in the upper middle frequencies and the treble than is in the lower end of things. So the treble, it's not sharp, it's not too sharp or anything like that. It's not overbearing, but it is energetic. And there, again, it's just, there's a lot of detail across the board. And I found especially stringed instruments came off just extremely lively and detailed, and you could just hear the plucks, and the resonances, and stringed instruments sound phenomenal on these. What I would say though is that, like, for me, there was something that was holding me back a little bit from really connecting with music as I was listening to these. I don't know if it's the form factor that I'm just not used to, or I feel like it kind of has like an ethereal quality to it where things are present, but they're not quite like all the way there, which is, I don't know, it's different, that's for sure. It's different, and I don't know if just not having the security of having like a whole cup around my ears is like kind of influencing the way I think about the sound of this headphone, but I just found like it wasn't like a solid sound, you know what I mean? It wasn't all there for me. It was there and present. It just didn't have it just didn't have the full quality to it. I didn't feel like, while it's all extremely detailed and it is fairly energetic and lively, the timbre or something about it just misses the mark for me a little bit. That doesn't mean it's not fun to listen to. It's certainly fun to listen to and engaging, but the whole experience for me doesn't, compel me to really want to listen to this headphone, especially when I have some other, just kind of more typical headphones on hand that are equal quality as far as technical performance, but I think they maybe, something like I've got right now, I've got the LCD5, I've got the Susvara, I've got an HE1000 V2, I've got a D8000 Pro, I've got a Diana TC. It's crazy. I never thought I'd have all these things at once, but I do. And I would say that I would take any of those over this, over the SR1a. It's interesting. I think it is innovative. It's cool. I'm not a speaker listener. Maybe if you're a speaker listener, this would connect more with you. But for me, I mean, I'm just a headphone guy, and just through and through, I guess. So these aren't for me. They're not for me. I'm not saying they're not good. They're good. They're good, and they're interesting, and they're different. And they might be worth a shot if you're looking for something, like if you don't like to have cups squeezing your head and you're looking for something that's like open and airy, and you like kind of that holographic, ethereal, like imaging and presence, but a lot of detail and a lot of speed, you know, maybe you want to look at this, right? For me, I'm just more of a traditional headphone guy, I guess, and I want something that's secure on my head so I can do things while I'm listening. Now, all that being said about the SR1a, let's talk about the HSA-1b for a little bit here. So my whole time that I was listening with this amp, I was using the Socris 2541 DAC, which is my new DAC. I decided to purchase that. I haven't reviewed it yet. I will eventually, but needless to say, it's good. And listening to the other amp that I've been going back and forth with comparing this to is the Burson Soloist 3XP. Again, I bought that. I haven't reviewed it yet. I will. But I was sold on the HSA-1b. Like, it is a phenomenal amplifier, extremely versatile, packs punch, timbre is just incredibly natural, resolution is phenomenal. Like, the detail retrieval on this amp is so good, but it's also super natural and smooth, which when I go back to the Burson Soloist, like, it's good, but it's just got a little more grit, a little more grain, a little bit more sharpness, and you know, similar levels of detail, I would say, but just the HSA-1b just presents it in such a smooth, easy to digest package. It really is an incredible amplifier. Now, it's expensive, it's pricey, but if you're looking for like an end game, do it all amplifier solution that can run any headphone on the planet, that can run speakers, that can run weird ribbon ear speaker things, I mean, this amp can do it, and it does it all beautifully and wonderfully technically, while still being super natural and musical, and just, it's everything you would want in an amplifier. Like, it's just great. It's phenomenal. Okay. Now, you know, you have to realize what you're getting, though, right? Like, it's a big boy. It's a big boy. It's going to take up a big chunk of your desk space. It is a full-fledged, gigantic amplifier. But with that huge form factor comes the power to do anything you want to do with it. And so I will be doing reviews of all those headphones I mentioned. And for all those headphones I mentioned, they will be driven off of the HSA-1b. And I'll be kind of comparing them going on the Burson Soloist, all with that Socris 2541 DAC. So lots of exciting stuff coming in the near future. Please subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet. If you have questions about the SR1a, shoot them my way. I will do my best to answer them. If you have questions about the HSA-1b, shoot them my way. Drop them in the comments below. I will do my best to answer them. And if you want to know anything in particular about those other headphones I mentioned, I'll put a separate post up to collect kind of questions and thoughts. But feel free to drop those in here too. And as always, you know, thank you for tuning into the channel. I feel like I've reached a summit here, right? Where I've got so many amazing headphones, best headphones in the world on hand right now. And a lot of that is thanks to you for being here and supporting me along this journey, and to other supporters of the channel, like, again, HeadFi member SA11297. Thank you again. Please stay tuned and subscribe, and we got lots of great stuff coming your way. So thank you for being with me. I appreciate your time as always. I will see you in the next one.